Abuse is actually a generic word. It means any form of harm, pain, violence inflicted on a person from another person. And in the course of my study throughout the week, I come to realize that every one of us in one way or the other have been abused at one point in time or the other, especially growing up. Our background, our parents didn't know better. And a lot of them inflicted in the process of trying to discipline us. Most of them disciplined without love. Some of them are permissive. And one way or the other, we have all passed through one form of abuse or the other. Like domestic abuse, because domestic abuse is actually a pattern of behavior in any relationship that is used to gain and maintain and control over someone else. And I know that most of our parents growing up in the process of wanting us to want their control over our lives, and little form of abuse came up. But tonight we are looking at a particular type of abuse, which is emotional abuse. And what is emotional abuse? Before I say anything about emotional abuse, I want to make it clear that this is not a meeting to say, go and divorce your husband, because I'm a marriage mentor and a relationship coach. And I believe strongly in the covenant of marriage. So I'm not here tonight to point us to the fact that you have to dissolve your marriage, but it's to make us know what is going on around us, because I came to realize that a lot of us are not aware of what is going on around us. Some people don't even know they are in an abusive relationship. Some of the abusers don't know that they are abusers. They are just there. But I believe that awareness will bring a lot of healing, and awareness will make us to realize what some of us are going through. But before I say anything about emotional abuse, I want to say tonight that there is a difference between emotional abuse and normal conflict. There's a difference between emotional abuse and normal conflict. Conflict is a part of life. I need to say this because of what is going on social media. So people don't begin to see conflict as abuse. In any relationship, especially in marriage, there's meant to be conflict. But conflict is a normal part of any relationship, and is a healthy way for people, especially in relationships, to express their emotions, identify an issue, and have a chance to discuss whatever issue is bothering them. So conflict is not abuse. So we don't begin to see that when we have conflict in our relationships, whether between our spouses, our children, our bosses, our colleagues, our friends, and you just go up and say, you're abusing me. This is emotional abuse. This is emotional abuse. No. Conflict is a part of life. And in a normal conflict, we want to express our emotions. And that is where emotional abuse comes up, because in emotional abuse, most of the time, because the abuser wants control and power, you are not given the opportunity to express your emotions. You are not given the opportunity to discuss whatever issue is bothering you, because that privilege is not there. So what is emotional abuse? Emotional abuse involves non-physical behavior. That's why it's different from domestic abuse that belittles another person, and it can include insults, shaming, verbal threats, gaslighting, making people to doubt their reality, or things that make victims feel threatened, inferior, ashamed, or degraded. And I want to say that emotional abuse goes both ways. Men can be abused, women can be abused. But in most cases, when the woman is abused, the whole world is shouting. The whole world is shouting. In most cases, when the woman is abused, everybody comes out to come and fight for the woman, but men too can be abused. In fact, I have two men that are very close and dear to my heart that in the course of looking at this, I realized that they were in an abusive relationship. They were in an abusive relationship. So emotional abuse or abuse generally is not only women that are abused, men too are abused. In fact, they abuse, emotional abuse for men to me is worse because they can't shout. Everybody expects a man that to counsel somebody very close to me some few years back when he came to tell me about the things the wife said. I said, that is not you. That is not you. And I think what can help us not to be abused emotionally or not to take in abuse is first to identify who we are. When you have self-identity, when you know who you are, it becomes very, very difficult for you to be abused. Because the moment someone is trying to abuse you, you immediately know where the person is going and you put in everything to stop that abuse. Because a lot of people don't know when they are being abused and they don't know who they are, they easily fall victim. And I want to say that abuse is a behavior from another person that makes you consistently feel badly about yourself. Like you just can't be you. Like I said earlier on, it is not limited to partners. Abuse can come from a family member, it can come from an in-law, it can come from a friend, it can come from a co-worker, it can come from a teacher, a parent, an employee, an employer, your bosses. So abuse runs across. Anybody that makes you feel bad, that makes you feel less of yourself, that debases you, is abusing you emotionally. It is hard to identify emotional abuse because there is no physical bruises, cuts, or scar. So you can actually go to the police and say, someone abused me emotionally. They'll be like, how? You say the person insults you. I remember the case some years back that a policeman actually arrested somebody, and I was like, what for? He said for teeth biting. I said, do they arrest people for teeth biting? It was funny, but because as at then I didn't know that teeth biting was an abuse, we all laughed about it. That how can you abuse somebody for teeth biting? So, but because emotional abuse, there is no physical bruises like domestic abuse and violence. Now, when somebody is beaten up, you will be able to identify it. You'll be able to see that, okay, when the person goes to the police station, okay, there's a punch, there's a red eye, there's cut, there's bruises. But emotional abuse is so painful because it's not visible. And for men, it's worse because you take in the pain. I was reading a story on social media recently of somebody that went to visit his senior colleague. He's like an egbon to the person, a senior person to him. And while they were downstairs, I don't know if the wife knew he had a visitor, but from upstairs, the woman was abusing this man. He was abusing this man. And this guest was shocked because the man is someone that he respects so much, but at home, the man was going through traumatic experience that he cannot share with anybody, he cannot tell anybody. That is how bad emotional abuse can be, especially to the men, because they will say, be a man, men don't cry, men don't shout, and men don't shout, men don't talk, men don't react, men, they will just be a man, be manly. How can you say you have undergoing emotional abuse? But the truth is that men can be abused. And abuse is model. Abusive behavior is about two things. First, is being modeled to us, because most abusers are product of abuse themselves. It has been modeled to them in their growing up. If you have a home where your mother or your father abuses or insults each other, as a child, on with that. I was in a meeting during the week where somebody was saying that the fathers who abused the mother, that was let's kill daddy. As little as it was, at 8, he told the mother, let's kill daddy. And the mother was like, kill daddy, K. He said, yes. The mother said, if we kill daddy, where are we going to put his body? He said, if we kill daddy, where are we going to put his body? And the boy said, we'll just lock him up and walk away. That was how bad. Okay, thanks. That was how bad he felt about what was going on with the mother, what the father was doing. So abuse most times is modeled to us from home. If home was messed up, there is every likelihood that you'll be messed up until there is divine intervention or you own up and decide to change that. Until you decide to deconstruct what has happened to you and reconstruct, which is not easy. That's why most abusers are products of abusive relationship. Because whether we like it or not, we take home wherever we go. It has been modeled to us from home. That is why some abusers today, they don't know that they are abusers. They don't know that they are abusers because abuse can be intentional and it can be unintentional. The intentional one is the one we'll be coming to very shortly. But the unintentional one are mostly people that abuse were modeled to, and they saw it as a way of life. There was a story I heard recently that because of the way the man grew up, he determined in his heart that he was not going to raise up his hand against any woman because he saw his father doing that to the mother. And unfortunately for him, which was okay because it's his wife, he told his wife that this is the decision he took as a young guy. And the woman took advantage of the husband. And any small thing, he would slap the husband. But because he had vowed not to hit her back, he let it slide until the son got to school and wrote that the only thing he can remember, he didn't remember the holidays, he didn't remember the chocolate, he didn't remember the pizza. My mommy beats my dad. That is how abuse is modeled. The man had to address this and told the wife that this needs to stop. So abuse, the first thing about abuse is that it is modeled to us from home. And some people will tell you that they are abusive because of anger. Anger is only an excuse, but not the cause of abuse, because especially if you are a believer, you have the fruit of the Spirit, which includes temperance and self-control. If your boss abuses you and you cannot retaliate, you swallow it. It means you choose where to exercise your abuse. Some people will say, though it's part of abuse, stress, but sometimes you can't control your stress. So all this excuse of, it's because I'm angry, that's why I'm abusive, is not true. Because someone else will be coming in very shortly. Gosh, I'm just going to run through the second type of abuse because my other sister is coming. The second often is motivated by desire for power and control. But the reason for this varies, like I said, some are on purpose, some are not on purpose. The ones that are intentional and want control and power are sometimes referred to as narcissists. And this is very, very common, but some people don't even know. These are people without empathy. They don't have empathy. They don't feel concern. They demand praise, they attention. They think highly of themselves. So as I'm saying this, be noting if you have any of these little things by yourself, because every one of us needs to go and do a test. Believing others are inferior, you are cocky, you are manipulative, you are selfish, you are very patronizing and demanding. The truth about it is that every one of us has some degree of narcissism in us. I'm going to give an example. If you're in a group photograph now, the first person you want to look out for is you. That is the selfish nature of every one of us. And some people now go for that. If they are not okay in that picture, they condemn the whole picture because they are not looking beautiful. That is the trait of narcissism. But when the spectrum is very high, it now leads to cruelty, and that is where abuse comes in. An example of this is found in 2 Timothy 3, verse 2. Say, for men shall become lovers of themselves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemous, unthankful, ungrateful. The Bible describes abusers very well in 2 Timothy 3, verse 2. And this set of people, they control you until you become a puppet. How do they do it? They do this by gaslighting you. They make you doubt your reality by shaming and fear. There was a story I read of somebody that she's an athlete, and each time she goes for a training and all of that, she used to have backache. Please, if you have questions, you can drop your questions in the chat box, in the chat. She used to have ache on her back. And she has this boyfriend that was a narcissist. A particular day, she had put her ice packs in the freezer and went for her training. When she came back, her back was hurting. And she went to the freezer to get the ice pack. Apparently, her partner, her boyfriend, had thrown it away. And that is how narcissists work, some abusers. So she was like, I am sure I left ice pack in this freezer before going for my training. How come I cannot find the ice pack? That they make you doubt your reality. They make you feel as if something is wrong with you. They go as far as telling you that that's what everybody says about you. And you begin to doubt your reality. And like I said from the beginning, that we need to know who we are. We need to be self-aware of who we are so that nobody can gaslight you and make you to doubt your reality. This they do by the first thing a narcissist will do to you is to show you so much love when they want to put you in their corner. So we go as far as trying to find out what you love, the kind of books you read, the kind of movie you watch, the kind of food you eat. And you'll be so blown away. They'll come with extravagant gift, flag tree, test. They are in your space. And this is called love bombing. They manipulate you to jump into a relationship sooner and more seriously than you would have. So they will just bombard you with love. They call it love bombing. And you fall for it. You say, oh, this person really loves me. Women do it too. It's not only men that do it, because like I said, I have two guys that are very close to me that haven't gone through these sessions. I can see what they are going through. And after they have succeeded in getting into a relationship sooner and more seriously than you would love, the next thing they do is they isolate you. They isolate you from your friends, from your loved ones, from your family. And you know, isolation is one of the plans the enemy uses when he wants to deal with somebody. He first isolates you. So narcissists, they borrow that from the devil. When they isolate you, they make you feel that they're the only one that loves you. You see why it is difficult for some people to get out of abusive relationship? Because this person has shown you so much love. Now, because he wants you in his space, he manipulates you and he isolates you from everybody that thinks will be of help or for assistance or be in your space. And this leads to trauma bonding, or they call it Stockholm syndrome, where you develop positive feelings towards your abuser. They make you feel that you cannot do without them. This usually occurs. Child abuse, most of these people that abuse children, they'll say, don't tell your daddy, I will buy you gifts, I will buy you this. They will show that child with love and they will keep abusing that child. So that is how they do it. They make you feel, they call it trauma bonding or Stockholm syndrome, where you now develop positive feelings towards your abuser over time, because they make you feel no one can love you. And at this stage, the abuser would rather remain in the relationship. So that's why when you see some people that are being abused, you try to rescue them, you take them out, you find them going back to the abuser because they have this feeling in their head, in their brain, that nobody can love them like their abuser. So they will rather stay in that relationship. And if it escalates to domestic violence, which is another topic for another day, if it escalates to domestic violence, they will rather die in that relationship. That is why when it happens to the abuser, people will like, is she not thinking? Is she not thinking? Why will he remain in that kind of relationship until he gets killed or that? No, that is not it, because there's confusion in their brain. How can someone that has shown you so much love, so much care, so much attention, start abusing you? Most of the time, you cannot put it together and you start to guilt trip. Oh, maybe it's me. Maybe I caused it. Maybe I offended him. Maybe I offended her. Maybe it's what I did. But it's not true, because they are manipulated. They are manipulative. You cannot see the true picture of what is happening to you until help comes. It's a pattern. It's not a one-off. It's a pattern, and it begins with your thoughts. Some people feel that because it's emotional, is feelings. No, it begins actually with your thoughts. You think about it before you feel it and you act. But most people think that you feel it. No, emotional abuse actually begins with your thought, and it's a behavioral pattern. It's not a one-off. It's not a one-off thing. There are 5 signs of emotional abuse I would like to talk about. This is how we know emotional abusers. They are hypercritical or judgmental towards you. And this they do by putting you down in front of others. So these are the signs. Please take note of emotional abuse. They humiliate or embarrass you using sarcasm or teasing or jokes to make you feel bad about yourself. These are some of the signs of emotional abuse. They have an opinion about what you say or think. They are always trying to be over-judgmental or over-critical about you. They are upset if you don't agree. Like some of them want to control how you dress, how you spend your money, how you spend your time. And if you don't agree, they're upset. And this is what sometimes leads to domestic violence, because an abuser likes control. When you want to release yourself from that control, it now escalates into violence. And this most of the time is what leads to emotional domestic violence. And secondly, they ignore boundaries or invade your privacy. That is another sign of an emotional abuser. They invade your privacy, wanting to move a relationship faster than you are comfortable with, either emotionally or physically. They are always in your space. They're always saying, I love you quickly, pressing you towards the same, pushing you. When you are not ready, they invade you. If you are in a relationship with an emotional abuser, it wants to fast forward the relationship beyond what you want, what you are not ready for, because they have a plan that when you are now into the relationship, they are able to isolate you. They are very, very possessive. They check your text messages. They check your social media account without your permission. They invade your privacy. That is another sign of emotional abusers. They are possessive and controlling. They restrict your behavior through unreasonable jealousy. Okay, there was a story I heard of recently that there's this lady, she's like the PR of her company. And while she was on one of their meetings in a hotel that they were having, she met her ex and they greeted, he's a schoolmate anyways, not even her ex, they greeted, they chatted, they exchanged. This is somebody she has seen for a very long time, over 30 years, they chatted and everything. And fortunately or unfortunately for her, she got home and she was telling her husband that, oh, I met an old classmate. We talked about so many things. And in fact, we almost dated. That was a trigger. The moment the wife said that, the meeting continued the following day. The man secretly followed the wife to the hotel and was watching. Unfortunately for the man and his wife, this schoolmate was still in that hotel because obviously he came for a meeting and he lives outside that city. The man now saw them again talking and chatting and everything. And when she got home, the man started accusing her, you're having an affair. She said, having an affair? What do you mean by I'm having an affair? You're having an affair. It became a problem. So she went to meet a counselor. And the woman was like, why do you think, are you really having an affair? She said, no, I'm not having an affair. So why do you think that your husband suspects you that you're having an affair? Would you like me to talk to your husband? She said, of course. And she invited the husband over and said, why do you think your wife is having an affair? The man broke down and started crying. Why are you crying? That his mother ran away with her ex over the father. So that's why I say abuse is modeled from the home. We take home everywhere we go to. Because that happened to the mother, for no reason, seeing the wife talking to an old schoolmate, jealousy came up, and by the grace of God, it was resolved. So they restrict your behavior through unreasonable jealousy, such as monitoring your actions, constantly calling or texting, trying to find out where you are. I had, what I call a friend when I was on the mainland. Her husband was so possessive that he had a landline in the shop for her. Because everywhere she goes to, the man is always calling, and he will detect what she will wear. So what she does when the man has gone for his business, she will wear what she likes. Sometimes when I'm passing through the shop and I see her wearing some things, I'll say, if your husband comes, what will happen? She'll say, he's not coming back. Unfortunately, there was a particular day the man came early. Getting upset when you want to spend time by yourself or family members. Like I said, they isolate you. So each time you want to spend time with yourself, there are times you just need your space. You want to be with yourself, you want to think. They will never allow you because they know when you have time to think, you'll be able to figure out what's going on in your life. So they isolate you from other people, like I said, in your life, and activities you enjoy or work, demanding access to your phone, email, like I said before. Then the fourth signs of an abuser is that they are very manipulative. That is why if you are not careful, you will not see it. They are very manipulative. They try to get you to do what they want or feel So such as withdrawing affection when you have done something wrong. This is very, very common with abusers. Some of them, I know of some people that they will tell you. In fact, one of the ladies I was talking that it was so bad that to sleep with her, she will have to, if she misbehaves, the husband can withhold sex for 2 months. That is an emotional abuse. So it got to a stage she had to tell God that God should kill every of her sexual desire. And for 2 years, they were in the same house. She was not moved sexually to her husband. So they will want to do something to you when they feel that you have done something wrong by ignoring you. Like I said, they make you guilt trip. You begin to feel that, oh, am I the cause? Maybe I'm the cause. Because from the beginning, they've showered you with so much love. They've shown you so much love that when anything goes wrong, you guilt trip. I might be the cause. This man loves me so much that he cannot treat me like that. But that is the way it works, making you doubt yourself. Like I said earlier on, they gaslight you. They make you doubt your reality. Denying something you know is true. That's gaslighting. They make you, something that you know is true, they will make you deny. They'll make you feel that this thing you are saying, they go as far as telling you that's other people's opinion about you. That's what people think about you. That's what people feel about you. They often dismiss you and your feelings. Maybe most times when you are hurt, they make you feel like you are exaggerating. If I say this now, somebody will laugh. It's not that deep. They make you feel that you are exaggerating. But it's your feelings that is hurt. They don't pay attention to your feelings because they are not empathic. So they dismiss your feelings. They play down your emotions or feeling by saying you are too sensitive. So when someone keeps telling you, okay, Favor is on now. Sir Favor, are you back now? Sir Favor, are you back now?
Hello, Mom. Hello.
Network. Okay, you're back.
But it keeps tripping. That's why I did call you. Okay.
So just run through what you have in the next 10 minutes and or the next 15 minutes, let's see. I'm not seeing questions, so I've not seen anybody that wants to be part of this discussion. Staffy boy, over to you. You can continue.
Okay. I would say, how do we notice emotional abuse? One way by asking myself a question. How do I feel? How does the interaction with my partner make me feel? Do I feel wounded? Do I
This network. Safi, are you back? Okay, let's continue. Not really. Somebody is asking a question. Please, can the normal disagreements between couple lead to emotional abuse? Does superior idea between couple be also considered as emotional abuse? No. I said that from the beginning, that there is a difference, clear difference between conflict in the family and emotional abuse. So normal disagreement between couple is not emotional abuse. Please, it is not. I said that from the beginning. Maybe you are not here at the beginning. That is why I took my time to define that at the beginning of this meeting. That conflict is a normal part of any relationship. And is an healthy way for people, especially in relationship, to express their emotions, identify an issue, and have a chance to discuss. It is not emotional abuse. Conflict is a part of life. That is not emotional abuse. Please, it is not emotional abuse. I said that from the beginning of this meeting, that there is what you call normal conflict. And having superior idea over in a relationship is not emotional abuse. There is a thin line. That is why I took my time to differentiate it. It is when, like I've said, and she was trying to say, is that when that argument, okay, it is when that argument makes you to feel less of yourself. It debases you. It shames you. It makes you to feel bad. The feeling you get from the argument is what can be tamed if it is not injurious, if it is not painful, if it is not shaming, if it is not gaslighting, if it does not make you to doubt your reality. It is not emotional abuse, please. It is not. There are healthy conversations. There are healthy conflicts. Bearing your mind in a relationship is not emotional abuse. And you see, how you say things matters in every relationship. So that's one comes up too. If you're always yelling, your partner is trying to say something, you talk down your partner, you might be leading to abuse. But like, abuse is not a one-off thing. It's a pattern. It's consistent. It's a behavioral pattern. It's not one-off. So are we clear on that, please? Normal conflict in family is not abuse, please, so that you don't go now and say, you're abusing me, or guy, you're abusing me. I don't even have an opinion in this family. I don't even have an opinion in this relationship. Please, conflict is a normal reality. It's a way of life. Like I said, when someone, it is the feeling that comes out of it. And first, like I said, feeling is not enough. You have to think about it, then your feeling comes up. Because especially for women, we are so emotional. So sometimes we don't think. So you have to think. So somebody is asking a question here. Good evening, Ma. Getting married to age and getting married early in age and later felt you are not involved with the guy after some days and months. The guy started showing his bad side, like insulting the lady family, saying a lot, even checking the lady phone. This also makes the lady hate the guy more. Please, it's a situation like this, and the lady is no more interested in the marriage, but people keep begging the lady to stay. What should the lady do? If somebody debases you and makes you feel bad, you need to take time out to think. Thank God this situation has not led to domestic violence. But if this whatever you just talked about now is, and that is why I don't know if we have some singles on this platform, or you have a sister, you have a brother, you have a sister, you have a brother, because like I said, abuse is both ways. Please, all these things I have said, let them check it out. Anybody that starts showing you bad side, like insulting the lady family, saying a lot and even checking the lady phone, it is not healthy. The person is abusing you emotionally. People are begging you to stay. But like I tell people, most times you have to think and take a firm decision. Somebody said the emotional abuse also shows when the spouse is not ready to support the partner in achieving goals. That's not emotional abuse. E.g., a man whose wife wants to go back to school, but the husband refuses to fund it and says, why didn't you go to school when your mates were? That's not emotional abuse. My dear, it's not emotional abuse. If the man is telling you that, go and work or find something, you cannot, and you see, the thing is that if the man, you think that the man have the money to fund your education, there is a way to go about it. Sit down. That's not emotional abuse. If your husband is refusing to sponsor you to school and asking you that, why didn't you go to school before? It is not emotional abuse. It's probably telling you that this is something you would have done before. But there are better ways to do it. If you want your husband to sponsor you, sit down, have a family conversation. Don't assume he can do it. Find out if the finances is there, because sometimes as women, we assume a lot. And that comes up when a man is not, open with the finances. It makes a woman to assume. So if your spouse is on this call, a lot of assumption comes. And like I would tell people that assumption is the lowest part of knowledge. Don't assume anything. Find out the facts. Find out from your husband if the money is available. Find out. And sometimes it might be your behavior. The man might be feeling that if you go to school now, you want to override him. So your behavior might be pointing to the man that sending you to school is not going to be healthy for him. Sending you to school is not going to be good for him. So you have to check your behavior for your husband to be refusing to send you to school. But my dear, it is not emotional abuse. Okay, since we are doing question and answer time, let's continue before Sister Favor come. Good evening, ma. Here is my question. How do you go about an abusive boss that is appreciative, always look forward to use his employees so they feel their effort are not enough, manipulate and use words that are demeaning? If you can't work out, it's as straightforward as that. Someone that will make you feel less of yourself. You can never be good before the person. And before you know it, if you continue with that boss, you begin to doubt yourself. You begin to doubt your capability. You begin to doubt. And the moment you start second-guessing yourself, it will be difficult for you to go out for another interview because already the boss has already made you feel that you are not good enough. So when you sit down before another employer, your confidence will be eroded. Before it gets to that point where your confidence is eroded, please take a walk. That is my advice, because when it gets to that point where your confidence is eroded, it means that to even go out to look for another job, you cannot. So you continue you remain in that relationship. Good evening, ma. For example, a couple get married and later they fight and argue and then get divorced. Then it affects the child. It becomes a trauma. What do you say to help the child? You see, that is the problem with abuse in any form, whether emotional, whether domestic violence and all of that. Ultimately, the child suffers.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Ultimately, the child suffers. And that is why some women will say, I'm staying back for my child. I'm staying back for my children. Please and please and please. If staying back for your children would lead to your death, it's better for you to be alive and be with the children and than for you to die for these children that you are trying to save and eventually die and leave them. Like I said, I am a marriage counselor. I am 100% for marriage because marriage is a covenant. But if that will lead to domestic abuse where you lose your life, I'm not saying divorce. There's what you call, I'm sure some of us are lawyers on this. There is separation before divorce. First, separate. And if you can reconcile, you come back. Separation does not necessarily need to lead to divorce. So let me address the person that says that the child is traumatic. Please, that child needs help. The child needs a therapist. Because if it is not dealt with, that child will carry that trauma into another relationship and we traumatize that person. So the cycle continues. And that is why we are where we are in the world presently. Because the trauma that children go through as a result of abuse is not dealt with. And in the course of my study, I realized that sometimes our mothers, when they get to a certain age, when they are old, they start falling ill and all of that. And so you take some of them to the hospital, they cannot find what is wrong with them. Most of the time it's psychological as a result of the abuse that they have gone through. The Bible says that a broken spirit drieth the bones. Their spirit is broken. So at that age, they feel they've lost everything. Some of our mothers, they feel worthless. And you cannot understand why they are feeling it. It's as a result of an abuse, a trauma that they went through that was not dealt with. And in this part of the world, we don't take trauma seriously. And that is why there's a repeat of abuse. There's a repeat of traumatic experiences that are now transferred. It now becomes transferred aggression. That cycle continues. Because I said it from the beginning, we take home wherever we go to. When you get married, most of the time, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you are bringing home into that marriage until you sit down and deconstruct and reconstruct. and ask yourself that, what do I want from this marriage? Some people, whatever has happened to their mother, they bring it in. And it's two ways. They either come subdued or they come aggressive. When they come aggressive, any time the man is trying to behave like they are full of any child, it happens. It's around us all the time. That because of that, the child is going through trauma. Please, the child needs help. The child needs a therapist. I will not tell you that I'm a trauma therapist. I'm not a trauma therapist. Though I'm a grief and loss therapist, but I'm not a trauma therapist. So if I get a child a therapist, it will be very, very good, so that this abuse is not transferred to the next generation. This trauma is not transferred to the next generation, because if it is not nipped in the bud now, it definitely will transfer to the next generation. And you will not know why the child is behaving like that. And all you will say that the child is an abuser. I said it from the beginning that abuse is first modeled to us from home before we take it out. Praise the Lord. Any other question? I'm looking at the chat box. Say good evening. Okay, that's the last question. How do I affect the child? Did I affect it? So that child needs to go for help. So before we round up tonight, anybody wants to say anything? I said it's an interactive session, and all of us are quiet. Please, 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 I want to hear some voices. You have an example, you have a story to share. Before I round up, I want to say, it's okay for one-on-one counseling. Those, say for one-on-one counseling to those who don't have the convenience number. Oh, okay. So my number is there. So I'm waiting. Okay, so let me continue by saying that another sign of emotional abuse. Can I say, yeah, you can't. Pastor Bisi, unmute and say something.
Good evening, ma. Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you clearly, ma.
Praise God. Good evening, everyone. And thank you, ma, for this session. It's so inspiring and educative, and everything you've said is a tick, tick, tick for me from this end. But there's something I want us to understand, which I want to actually is a piece of an advice. You see, I have come to understand in life, if not because it's a 1 hour session, if I open my mouth to let you know the kind of emotional abuse that I personally have handled in life. Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly?
We want to hear, ma. Please proceed.
Pastor Bisi, go ahead. Share your experience.
Yes.
We are
now,
on for it.
You see, there is absolutely nothing you can do to help people that wants to abuse you. They have a huge sense of insecurity, and they think because they are down, they must bring you down along with them. It could be in a relationship, it could be in marriage relationship, it could be in a workplace. But like you rightly said, if anybody wants to, using the example of a workplace, the employer believes that he has the upper hand and must keep bringing you down. The only reason that can make you stay on that job is if you look at yourself that, number one, if I'm using the example of United Kingdom where I am, number one, is that employment is what gave you the paper to stay. And because of the law, you need to stay within the years that the papers were given to you. It's not easy to get papers. So, but if they employ you based on the fact that, okay, they're the ones that gave you the paper and he kept, abusing you emotionally, you may not have a choice to easily walk away until you spent the time that your license, we call it license here, that your license reads, except if you've behind the door, you got another employer that promised that I will get you papers. But don't just walk away until they give you the papers. Don't just walk away, otherwise we only have 10 days to live in this country before they deport you. or 28 days maximum. Now, having said that, I have come over the time to understand that the people, employers, or individuals that put you down, number one, they are afraid of your person. There is something about you that makes them to be intimidated. And the only way they can kill that intimidating spirit inside of you is to bring you down to their level. I want every woman, every man, every day, look at yourself in the mirror and speak life to yourself. I am not who they say I am. I am this. I am destined for the top. I am the image of Christ. I walk in power. I walk in authority. I walk in dominion. I am who God says I am. I'm not what so and so called me. I stayed in unemployment for 13 years. Why? Because one, I'm a single parent. I have 2 children I raised. And I'm still raising. I was on that employment paper and I went through a lot of things. And like you rightly said, Ma, when it got to a place, I had to fast for 10 days. By then, I had got my papers. By then, I know I can stand free on myself. I waited on God for 10 days. I went on holiday. I left the UK. I traveled out, and I went on prayer fasting for 10 days. Why? I needed the confidence to look at the man and his wife and say, I am walking away. And which I did. I didn't tell my children that was the reason, because we traveled together. I didn't tell them that is what I was going to do. They didn't know. They were like, Mom, how can you come on holiday and you are not enjoying yourself? Why are you fasting? I said, don't worry, leave me and God. And after the 10 days, when I got back to the UK, I went to him, so I said, Oga, I will give this employment 3 months so that I can do a good work in putting things together until we get someone to take my position. I am leaving this organization. You know what he said? He said, how are you going to eat if you leave? How are you going to pay house rent? What they do to him. Can you imagine? How are you going to pay house rent? Now, you're a single parent. How are you going to raise your kids? I said, excuse me. So you think the money you are paying me here guarantees all this rubbish that I've been receiving from you? And I didn't look back. I didn't say anything derogatory. I didn't abuse them. At the end of the day, I left the employment. Now, and like you said, being able to face interviews after that for 18 months, for 18 months, I had no other job. Number one, my self-confidence was eroded. I couldn't, when I get to interviews, I look at myself like, what am I going to say? I'm talking like, I'm not an illiterate. I have 2 masters to my credit, to the glory of his name. But I mean, I lost every confidence to stand at interviews. Now, and I thank God that over the years, the Lord helped me and he restored me. Now, this new employment I told them when I was doing a preview, they said, blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, I am not responsible for any of my work colleague that has a sense of insecurity. I'm not responsible for that. Don't put that on me, and I'm not going to take it. The moment I said that, everybody stood back because they understood that they know that this woman knows that they want to intimidate me, either because of my color or because of whatever. But the kind of certificate I have, none of you has it. So you cannot intimidate me. I said, if you have a sense of insecurity, I can't help you. I said, I can't help you. You have to deal with that. So having said that, the moment I said that, something changed. The atmosphere changed in my workplace because they now know that she understands who she is. And apart from that, I've put them in their place. So as a woman or either a man, if you cannot resolve that within yourself, that this is who I am. Don't kill me, John. Don't intimidate me. Don't put me in your box. Don't put me at your level. It is not pride. I'm not being prideful. Don't put me at your level. If you have a problem with your parents, if you have a problem with the way you are raised, come and deal with it. Go for a therapy. Speak to yourself that I don't want to keep on perpetrating this evil. Don't come and heap that on me. I'm not going to take it. Until you come to that standpoint as a person, the abuser will keep on abusing you. I can guarantee you that. they will keep abusing you. And when they see that you are taking it in, it will come to a point that they will think, if I raise my hand and slap this person, it will be all right still.
Yeah.
God bless us, everyone. So stand up to your abuser.
Thank you, ma. Thank you, ma.
Pastor BC. That is my pastor. Thank you so much for your contribution. Any other person that would like to say something? So one of the ways to prevent abuse is be self-aware. Go for knowledge. Knowledge leads to self-control. Be self-aware. Know who you are. If you know who you are, the truth about it is that nobody can abuse you. It might come as a shock, but you will recover and you will stand back. So we need, and somebody was saying recently that, and another thing is discover your purpose in life. Purpose is the vehicle for deliverance from emotional abuse. Because when you discover your purpose, most times the abuser will not want you to express yourself. But the moment you do that, and sometimes if you are not careful, it actually leads to domestic violence, because at the point of discovering of your purpose, the abuser sees that you want to release yourself from this control, from this power, but you have to stand your ground. If it becomes violent, like I said, step aside for a while, resolve it, bring in people you want to bring in, and be careful, because some of the people we call mentors, they're actually tormentors. So be careful who you run to. I was sharing a story with my husband recently of something I heard of. A pastor's wife, an assistant pastor's wife, was always going to the pastor and the wife to report that her husband abuses her, beats her, and all of that. And they keep encouraging. He has not even beaten her at that time. He was always abusing her, shaming her, bringing her down, making her feel less of herself. She would go and report. They'll be like, I prayed. But pastor, how can pastor be doing that? Pastor does not look like someone who would do that. So that is, even though the other family is making her to even doubt her reality. So a particular day, the pastor slapped his wife. When he went to Bishop's wife to say, pastor slapped me, he said, welcome to the club. Even Bishop slapped me this morning before he went to the altar. Praise the Lord. So be careful who you run to for advice, because the person might be experiencing more than what you're experiencing and cannot shout. So they cannot give you healthy advice. When it comes to that, they cannot give you any healthy advice. So to prevent So somebody is saying, if we know anyone that is being abused and the person keeps begging not to tell anybody, what do you do? What do you advise to do? Please tell somebody so that there is no debt on our hand. The person might be offended with you at that particular time. The person might feel betrayed, but the truth about it is that you have saved a life. At the end, the person, the abuse will come back to tell you thank you. Don't say because the person, they don't tell any, because especially in the Christendom, some of us want to be in bondage because of what people will say, there's no divorce in the Lord and all of that. But the truth about it is that the covenant of life is stronger than the covenant of marriage. You need to be alive to marry. You need to be alive to remain in that marriage. Like I said, I'm not against it. I'm against divorce. I'm not one that is supporting divorce. But I still believe that you need to stay alive. If you are staying in that relationship because of emotional abuse, actually is not yet domestic abuse. We have not gotten to the domestic abuse. But watch out for these signs and begin to take your decisions. Go for knowledge. Be self-aware. It is preventable. But when it starts, some people will tell you, and as I begin to round up tonight, let us know that the abuser needs help. That abuser needs help. So You might not be the one to help, but you can recommend. Let's not condemn the abuser totally. And secondly, if you, from the take home, and if you do your further research and you find out that your abuser is a narcissist, know that you are dealing with a personality disorder, not the person. There's a disorder here. There's a mental illness. So you are dealing with someone with a personality disorder. The moment you know that you're dealing with someone with a personality disorder, it will help you to heal, to forgive, because now it is not the person. The person needs help. There is a disorder. It's a personality disorder. So the abuser needs help. So in an abusive relationship, emotional or whatever, the abuser needs help, the abused needs help, and if there are children in that relationship, they need help. So as individuals in a community, look out for people you can help so that we stop this abuse. If you need to shout, if you need to recommend, please do, so that somebody will not die in your presence and you'll be regretting. God forbid is your relation, you would have said, if I had known, I would have taken my relation out of that relationship. But if the person is gone, the person is gone. There is nothing you can do. So this is my take home for us tonight. Thank you everyone for being part of our meeting tonight. Up until now, some of you refuse to talk, some refuse to have questions, but I know that I have talked to quite a few people here that there's something you are taking home tonight and you're going to begin to deal with. If you need to pray, you pray. If you need to see a specialist, you see a specialist. If you need to see a therapist, you need to see a therapist. So that, and there was a clinical psychologist that was talking recently that some women have been so abused to the point where they are in mental homes. And when the doctors tell them that nothing is wrong with you, you have not lost your mind, they will say, this is the only place my husband cannot find him. It is that bad. Where someone is abused to the point, where you have to hide from your abuser in a mental home, please help somebody, help your sister, help your brother, and anyone that needs help, go for help. If we need to continue this session, I will let us know and send out the message if we need to continue the session. But thank you everyone for coming tonight. And I pray that for anyone that needs healing, the Lord in his infinite mercy will heal you. But you need to forgive your abuser to heal. Some people will say, I can never forgive. Please, let's go and let God forgive. Somebody saying a person who has an excessive interest in okay, somebody is saying that she thinks there should be a part 2. So the part 2 will come up very shortly. Thank you all for coming. Good night. The Lord bless you. I love you all. And before I round up again, this ministry was 3 years on the 20th of April. So I'm expecting congratulating message. God has been faithful. He has brought us this far. Praise the Lord. Is this a question? So thank you all for coming. God bless you. When the part 2, thank you. Somebody said we need a part 2. So the part 2, I pray that Sister Favor's network will be okay. And there's another sister that was supposed to come and share a story. So those ones will be coming up in the part 2 of this message. And for any other person that would like to be part of this discussion, and hey, sis, I can feed you, I feed you. So for any other person that would like to be part of this discussion, oh, Modeshola, thank you. I appreciate every one of you. I appreciate, oh, Pastor, thank you. Oh, every one of you, I appreciate you. Thanks for the congratulating messages. Thank you for being part of the meeting tonight, Sister Karina. Every one of you, thank you for being part of the meeting tonight. The Lord bless you. And thank you all for having the confidence that,
growing up in the busy streets of Lagos,
that I have something to say to you and for being part of this meeting. The Lord bless Uncle Sam, every one of you. Okay, my number. Somebody is saying, how can you reach me outside the meeting? Please, can you put my number on the chat box as before we round up? I don't know if you are invited to, if you cannot get my number now, whoever invited you for this program will be able to get my contact. So if you cannot get my number from the chat box now, whoever invited you for this meeting, find out from the person will be able to give you my contact. I'm available. Thank you all for being part of the meeting tonight. God bless you as we begin to round up at the count of 5. 1, 5, 4. Ubina, thank you. 3, 2, 1. Good night, everyone. I've been held in